Hello there, welcome back to The Agenda, coming to you, as you just heard, live on location. We're down at the Dubai FinTech Summit in the Souk Madinat. Now, it is the second edition of this event, and the sort of promise from the organisers is that they want to shape the future of financial innovation. Now, we've had announcements coming thick and fast. You've got MOUs, you've got deals being done, both between local companies and also between international and local companies. And ultimately, we wanted in on this act. We wanted to hear a little bit more about some of the deals that have been going on. And one business that really does seem to be making waves here is myZoi. Now, they've just announced a partnership with a local retail giant, apparel group. And the aim from that deal, they say, is to drive financial inclusion for over 4,000 unbanked employees. Now, myZoi will basically change the way the company, My Apparel, pays its employees and offer them cheaper remittance options. But critically, it's also going to provide financial education aimed at improving economic literacy. So it's sort of a double-edged effort. And the co-founder and the CEO, Syed Mohammed Ali, joins me now at our live point down here at the Souk Madinat. Good morning, Syed. How are you?
Good morning, Georgia. I'm very well, thank you. A big fan of the channel and the show, so really excited to be here.
Well, it's so good to have you on the radio. Tell me a little bit about what myZoi does. I was researching you this morning, and it's a really interesting company. You're essentially, your ESG values come through pretty strongly. I mean, primarily, I'd say.
Yeah, that's right. So myZoi is a subsidiary of the Standard Chartered Group. It's been built, incubated on the SC Ventures platform, which is the group's incubation platform. Our mission is the financial inclusion and financial literacy of the unbanked and underbanked around the world. We've started with the UAE because it is a very large market for low-income migrant workers. And what we've done is we've built a digital wallet, which is available as a smartphone app. We are licensed by the Central Bank of the UAE. We've got the stored value facilities and retail payment services and card schemes licenses. And our business model is essentially in the first stage B2B2C. So what we do is we work with corporate employers of blue-collar migrant workers. We help them with their payroll provision to their employees along with financial literacy programs. Once they mandate us and we onboard their employees, we then get involved in onboarding them and supporting them in their day-to-day needs for transactions and sending money back home, amongst other things.
So, excuse my ignorance on this, but if people didn't have bank accounts, how were they being paid beforehand? How does it work?
It's a mix. So most of them don't tend to have bank accounts. Banks obviously target larger or higher income individuals.
And they charge us big fees as a consequence. That's my words, not yours, don't worry.
Sure. But there are other solutions that have crept into the UAE because UAE, for those who are familiar, has a wage protection system which requires the salary to flow into an account or an account equivalent. So there are players who are providing these individuals with payroll cards, which are essentially prepaid cards. And some of the solutions exist, but what we in our study showed was that it is not an end-to-end solution. It doesn't really create proper financial inclusion for these individuals so that they can create a financial history and a financial track record for themselves and avail of other services beyond just transactional ones to be able to save some money for themselves or ensure their futures.
I suppose, yes, with those cards you don't get a credit rating of any sort, that type of idea. And then, of course, most people, wonderful people who work in this country, send nearly all their money home as remittances. Does myZoi enable that, make that easier as well?
Absolutely. So that's a sort of an anchor solution for us because we understand that these wonderful individuals, they're working here for relatively low salaries and they do all of this to sustain their families back home and practically end up sending everything that they earn here back home to support their families. So we have tried to enable that for them in a convenient manner digitally from the app itself. And we've committed to fair pricing. So one of the goals that we've committed ourselves to is linked with UN's sustainability development goals to bring the cost of home transfers to below 3%. And that's the principle that we intend to live with and make possible.
I have to say that is the thing I found the most exciting about this FinTech Summit, the desire of so many sort of FinTech bosses to make banking and remittance sending cheaper for lower income people. Now, you've actually partnered with Apparel Group. They have 4,000 mostly unbanked employees. What does this partnership mean for those people?
It's exactly in line with our purpose. So Apparel Group, it's a meeting of hearts and minds. They're quite focused on ESG, especially agenda for the welfare of their employees. So when we discussed this idea with them, it was quite attractive to them, and they were quite keen to work with us not only on enabling the financial inclusion through this solution for their employees, but also the financial literacy programs that we are specifically designing for these individuals, which can be delivered digitally, but also in person through workshops in the labor accommodations in partnership with these companies. So we're really pleased about our partnership with Apparel Group. It's one of the most prominent names, and again, very focused on ESG.
Do you think people are enthusiastic about learning more about how to manage their money? You know, when you sort of pitch this idea of doing the financial inclusion classes, is there enthusiasm there for them?
Absolutely. What we've been doing is with a number of corporates, even though we haven't necessarily signed an agreement with them, but we go in and work with them for financial literacy workshops in the labor accommodations. And we've gamified it, we've made it interesting for people who participate in it. We make them go through exercises, for example, to do a budgeting for themselves and see how they can save some money. And there's so much interest, and you realize what the small amounts of money that are so meaningful for them to save. So we really take pride in sharing ideas and tips through our Money Tips program to help them save a bit more, or to choose the options that are available for them to do transactions in a more convenient and cost-efficient manner, including sending money back home.
Do you think at the moment, and I say this partly from experience with people that I've come across in my own life, my family life for the most part, do you think there are people who are at the moment filling this void that you guys are trying to fill with financial literacy? Do you think there are sort of organisations or maybe people filling that void with sort of slightly nefarious sort of intentions? Because at the moment it feels like people are losing money because they go with a certain deal that they think sounds good but actually is slightly disastrous.
There may be that, but it's also, I think the larger problem is the way traditional financial institutions are set up. It's with legacy systems that have been built with a huge amount of investment. And for these financial institutions to earn a return on their investment, it doesn't always make sense to build something for a low ticket or a low wallet customer. Therefore, a lot of focus tends to be on the higher income individuals. And therefore, the products, the way they are designed, the pricing that is done is keeping, let's say, a broader society in mind, not necessarily individuals with low income. And therefore, even if somebody has a bank account in the low income category, the solutions are not necessarily for them, and they end up perhaps using a service which is not ideal from them from a cost or efficiency perspective.
Now, obviously, you guys are currently UAE based. Where are you going? And you're launching it. This service here. Where else are you looking to bring myZoi into play?
So, like I mentioned at the beginning, it is a global problem to solve. We feel GCC has sort of a similar structure in terms of how the market operates. All countries in the GCC have the WPS, the wage protection system. We're quite keen to look at Saudi Arabia and other parts of GCC as our next market. Already started working on it, but UAE is actually keeping us quite busy.
I can imagine. Saudi's a massive market though, isn't it? That's quite exciting to get in there. Syed, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Thank you very much indeed. You've given us a real sense there of how something quite ephemeral, fintech, can actually have use case scenarios that can help people at every sort of level of society. So thank you so much for your time. It's been a great pleasure to have you here on the agenda.
Thank you, Georgia.
Thank you very much.